Right, hi, a very good morning to you all. I hope you're all well on this rather dreary Sunday morning. It's the 29th of January 2023, and I'm here to look at the weather for the week ahead for Southeast England. Now, this video is probably going to be about 10 or 11 minutes long because I want to teach you a few things. There's some interesting stuff going on in the atmosphere, and if you stick around long enough, you're going to find out a little bit about cyclogenesis. We're going to take a look at the jet stream. We're going to look at the weather patterns, temperatures, trends, you name it. We're going to have a look at it all. And yeah, we'll even have a sneaky little peek to see if there's any snowfall on offer. So I'm going to start off as I usually do, taking a look around the weather stations at the moment. We start in my back garden here in Folkestone. We're running at 6.2 degrees at the moment. If we run over to Ashford, a few miles inland, again 6.2. Bit of a theme going on this morning. Maidstone, further west, 6.5 degrees. Then we head over to Herne Bay on the North Kent coast. A bit warmer there at 7.3. That seems to be the warmest one at the moment. If we head over to Edenbridge, we're sitting at 6.4. And then if we move over west towards Guildford, 6.8 degrees. Head down to Brighton on the south coast. A bit chillier down there at the moment, 5.5. We move west over to Berkshire, Wokingham in Berkshire, 7.3. You're warming up there. Chipping Norton, 6.6. And we come back to good old London town near the city of Westminster, running at 7.1 degrees at the moment. And if we look at the map, that is pretty much representative. It's all sixes, fives, and sevens. Temperatures will rise slowly today, but not by any stretch of the imagination. So, yet again, the warmest air across the UK is across the north of Scotland, with many stations recording between 9.5 and 11 degrees. Top of the hots this morning is Aberdeen Dice in Aberdeenshire. No doubt you've got a bit of a phone effect going on with a westerly breeze just drying that air mass out and warming things up. So we'll take a look at the anomalies. So no surprises there to see the warmer anomalies over Scotland. We're running at 5 or 6 degrees above normal at the moment. But down here in the south, temperature anomalies are around normal. This is zero. This isn't 0 degrees. This is the deviation from the normal. So all very typical of a January day, these sixes and sevens at the moment. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick look at the facts chart at the situation. If you've looked outside or you've been out, it is a rather cloudy morning. And there are a couple of weak weather fronts pushing south across the UK. And this is why we are bringing in a little bit of drizzle. If we look at the radar sequence at the moment, it is a cloudy morning. There are spits and spots of light rain and drizzle. And if we run that sequence through, this was the scene at 8 o'clock this morning, you'll see that this light rain, this light drizzly stuff is slowly, surely edging further east and southeast. So I think this afternoon, or certainly for the early part of the afternoon, there's probably going to be a few spits and spots. So not the greatest of days. But we'll take a look at this facts chart and run it forward. This is the situation at noon today. By midnight, that front, a cold front, would have pushed out the way, and that would dry things up. It should clean the air out a little bit and turn things a little bit brighter. In fact, tomorrow is looking like one of those better days. We'll come on to the weather sequence in just a moment, but this is where the lesson is about to start. So the word cyclogenesis, I expect a lot of you are wondering, well, where is all the cold air at the moment? If it's not over the UK and it's not over Europe, where is the cold air? And I'm going to give you an answer. It's sitting over the USA this week. The northeastern states are going to be in for a brutal, deep freeze. These are the upper air temperatures a mile up in the sky. And look at these temperatures, considering New York is something like 40 degrees north on the same line of latitude as Rome. These upper air masses are a mile in the air, minus 24, minus 25 degrees, in stark comparison to over here in the UK, where at the same height above sea level, we're running at 3 degrees. So mild in the UK, big freeze on the way for the United States. Now, if you were listening at the start, I used the word cyclogenesis. Now, what is all that about? Well, in a nutshell, cyclogenesis is the formation of low pressures, and low pressures are formed where you get the boundary of warm air and cold air meeting. very simply, they come together, they become very unstable, and they create vortexes of very low pressure. So this week, take this example, you've got bitterly cold, frigid air streaming off the northeastern seaboard into the Atlantic. It's mixing with all this lovely warm subtropical air as it's pushing south, and then it wraps itself up into a deep area of low pressure. So that's the first part of the story. That's the formation of the low pressure. But then what happens next is we then have to rely on our friend the jet stream. And the jet stream is that high level stream of air. I think it's 9 kilometers roughly up in the air, which steers all of these active low pressure systems as they move further east. So this week we always like to take a look at the jet stream forecast, and this is it at the moment. It's streaming across the northern hemisphere at a right old rate of knots, 160, 170 miles an hour in places, but it's to the north of the UK. And what have we said about that? If we're to the south of the jet, we are generally on the mild side. And if we're in this relatively calm area where the jet isn't really moving, it means we're under high pressure. So we've got a bit of a double whammy here in terms of, if you like, mild and settled weather. We're in mild weather, but we're also relatively settled. So this week, we will be looking to the north for rain bands at times coming in off the Atlantic, but that high pressure is always going to be close enough to keep us, certainly down in the southeast, relatively dry, but we will not be immune from Atlantic fronts as they push through. So we'll take a look now. This is the loop starting with the 12 o'clock scene, and we're going to use the whole of the UK. I think it shows up the fronts a lot better. So this is midday today. This weak cold front is pushing down the country. This is at 6 o'clock. This is the front I spoke about that's going to come through overnight and give us a rather drier and brighter day tomorrow. So I've said that we're going to be generally mild, we're going to be generally settled this week, but on the back edge of these depressions, there will always be a little bit of cooler air just tucking in briefly, and they'll be enough to give you the odd cool night, the odd frost. So we'll come on to those bits and pieces in just a moment. But run the sequence through for the week. So Monday, a dry and bright day with some sunny spells. Quite a pleasant afternoon, I would have thought. But there's that next Atlantic low pressure system that's been formed over the Atlantic towards Canada, bringing through another weather front. But you'll notice as these fronts, they move further south and east across the UK, they are generally fizzling. And that's because high pressure is nearby and basically it wrings out the moisture in them. So any fronts that do come through across the south this week will be relatively minor, and any rainfall very, very light indeed. So Monday's a good day. Tuesday starts a bit grey, but we brighten up again with some sunny skies. Tuesday night turns a bit colder under this light northwesterly breeze, and then we run the sequence through to Wednesday. Wednesday is a bright and breezy day, but we'll be looking to a weather front that's just going to again just come down and spoil things during the afternoon, just give us probably just a little bit of spoiling cloud rather than anything. Now from Thursday, what tends to happen is that area of high pressure to the south starts to become more influential. So that high pressure will push the jet stream further north. It will push the weather fronts further north. So if you look at the weather front on Thursday, it's coming across from the Atlantic, but it's not even touching us here in the southeast because that area of high pressure is pushing those fronts further and further north. So Thursday, a bright day with some cloud, but turning milder. Now we run this sequence through to Friday. Here's your high pressure, and where's the rain gone? It's all pretty much disappeared. High pressure is taking over. It's becoming well established to the south of the UK. And I think it's fair to say from Friday, we are going to be dry. In fact, early indications are at the moment, this is Saturday, that any weather fronts will by that stage be way out to the west, way to the north. And here in the south, we are looking set fair, dry and fine with some light breezes. But as I mentioned, high pressure in January does not translate to wall-to-wall sunshine and warm temperatures. So this is the facts chart for Thursday with that area of high pressure by then starting to push further north, pushing those weather fronts further north. So I'm going to now run through the scene this week, good old-fashioned symbols. Many of us from the 70s and 80s and 90s used to like these, and I still quite like them, and I'm just going to run through. So today, as we've seen, it's a relatively cloudy day out there. There's the odd spot of drizzle that we'll be pushing through. Tomorrow is a drier, brighter day with some sunny spells, and Tuesday a bit cloudier because we've seen that weak warm front pushing through. Probably no more than just the odd spot of drizzle, if any at all. By Wednesday, we're drier and brighter. We're behind one of those cold fronts, so we're in cooler, fresher air. And then we run it to Thursday, dry and bright, variable amounts of cloud and some sunny spells. By the end of the week, we're dry, still rather a lot of cloud around, but there will be some brightness, and temperatures will be improving, as I've already mentioned previously, and we'll look at it in just a sec. And then we move it through to next Saturday. Well, this doesn't paint a very good picture. It paints rather a lot of cloud, but I think they're probably overdoing the cloud, and next weekend is looking pretty nice at the moment. So we'll run through the temperatures for the week ahead. So as we've already mentioned, these are your maximum temperatures today at around about 6s and 7s. Tomorrow, 7s and 8s covers things quite nicely. By Tuesday, things are starting to warm up, mild up. We're going to be back in double figures for the first time in a couple of weeks. I'm sure that will be quite welcome. By Wednesday, 8s and 9s, again, just around average, as we'll be bringing a slightly cooler west-northwesterly. We run it through to Thursday, then temperatures once again getting up towards double figures. And by the end of the week, we're up at 10 degrees, and then over the weekend, perhaps 9s and 10s with the odd 8. But these temperatures perhaps a little bit lower on account of the fact that high pressure will be starting to push over. Perhaps we'll be just starting to trap a little bit of cooler air closer to the surface. So they're the maximum temperatures. What I will show you now are the minimum temperatures, because there will still be a frost risk this week. So this is what we'll be waking up to tomorrow morning, 4s and 5s. We wake up on Tuesday morning, a bit chillier after that bright day on Monday. The skies will stay clear overnight. So I think we'll be scraping our cars on Tuesday morning, a frosty start Tuesday morning. On Wednesday morning, there might be a little bit of early frost, but it will be turning cloudier for a time. So yeah, there will be a light frost on Wednesday morning. Thursday morning, temperatures up at 5, so no frost related problems, as is the case on Friday morning. And then next weekend, as that high pressure starts to push over, there may well bring a frost risk back. But yeah, I think it's fair to say this week relatively mild and relatively frost free. Any frosts will be around the middle part of the week, when they will be generally light, so no big freeze this week, that's for sure. Pressure is on the rise, as we've seen. So we start off today at around about 1,027 millibars. Throughout the course of the week, that does actually rise, as we've seen from the 2nd of February. Next weekend is looking really set fair. This is a bit of a change. If you was watching the 14-day thoughts a few days ago, it was looking like low pressure was going to become quite influential in early February, but it seems that we've escaped that for now. So yeah, we're fine in terms of pressure. As a result, rainfall is relatively light this week. If you look to the scale on the left, these are in millimetres, so 0.5, 1 millimetre, 1.5 millimetres. Any rainfall that does come through on the back edge of some of those weak fronts pushing into the high pressure will be very small indeed, so very little in the way of rainfall this week. With terms of temperatures, we're on a slow upward trend. These are your maximum temperatures. So as I said, we'd be peaking up towards around the sort of like double digit mark from around about Thursday onwards. And we'll take a look at the winds. I'm not a fan of the wind, that's for sure. And this chart pleases me immensely to see light winds throughout the course of the week. By the 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, winds fall really quite light, as we bring in good agreement for areas of high pressure. And just for fun at the end, where is the snow? Well, nothing on offer for the next 7 or 8 days. That's because we are keeping things mild. We're on the warm side of the jet, and high pressures in control. So in summary, a relatively benign week, relatively dry week, bright at times, we're going to run the risk of the odd light front, the odd risk of a frost overall. But temperatures will be on the up, and next week is looking set fair. So I hope you've all enjoyed the forecast. I don't know how long I've rabbited on for, but I hope it's giving you some information on Cyclogenesis. That's one to use this week. If you do like my videos, please give us a like, give us a share, and if you're feeling really generous, give us a little subscribe as well. It'll be very much appreciated. I'll be back with the morning update in the morning, but in the meantime, all have a wonderful week. Thanks for watching, and ciao for now.